Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories.
This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user AmbitiousLone3639. Am I the a-hole for sleeping with my sister's boyfriend? But it's not what it sounds like. My sister, 26 female, is dating and soon to be engaged to my 25 female ex-boyfriend, 26 male. I know he's planning on proposing, or was, as I was helping him. When I was 16, I dated my sister's now boyfriend for about 6 months. It wasn't a super serious relationship, but we, as most teenagers do around that age, had sex. We did it a few times, but nothing obscene. The relation ended amicably because we simply didn't want to date anymore. There were no harsh feelings and we remained friends throughout high school and college. When my sister was around 23, she moved back to our hometown a year or so after college, and he was living here also. They began to spend time together, and she asked if it would bother me if they began to date. I had absolutely no problem with it and told her there were absolutely no weird feelings, and I didn't even consider him a serious relationship as it was nearly 10 years ago. They've now been dating for the past 3 years, and he plans to propose and has even asked for my help. Now, for the actual conflict. About a week ago, I, my sister, her boyfriend, and a few of our mutual friends went out to dinner. During one of the conversations, my sister made a joke about how he better propose soon because she was starting to feel like an old maid. Her words. I asked her what she meant, and she said they were both saving themselves for marriage. I asked her if she meant in just this relationship or if she was saving herself, period. She said they had both been saving themselves their whole life. I gave her boyfriend a strange look from across the table and she caught it. She asked why I'd looked at him weird, and I said it was nothing and tried to move past it. She insisted I tell her why because she thought I was judging them. I confessed that we had sex in high school, although it didn't really mean anything. She got mad at him first for lying, and somehow he managed to convince her that never happened. And then she got mad at me for making stuff up and, direct quote, trying to sabotage our future marriage because you're not over him. I told her I was, in fact, completely over him and that I was also not lying. And then they both got up and left. My friends know I was telling the truth and have tried to contact her and back me up. She hasn't answered any of them and texted me the day after saying that I wouldn't be invited to the future wedding if I didn't admit to lying. I do feel really bad and wish I hadn't said anything or lied about why I looked at him, but I felt like I owed it to her because she's my sister and he was lying. Should I have handled it differently, not have told her at all, etc.? Am I the a-hole? Not at all, OP. You weren't the a-hole. You were caught in the middle of the situation and reacted accordingly, I'd say. I would also probably looked at him like, what the F, man? He did, in fact, lie to your sister. He is the a-hole. And I think your sister is kind of obviously misdirecting her anger to you, because if she's angry at him, it might mean that the last 3 years, well, just went down the drain. So first, I wouldn't apologize. I would try to call her, and if she doesn't pick up, just send her a message that says, I'm really sorry you're hurting. Whenever you're ready, I'm here to support you. And then she needs to make the decision of if she wants to stay in a relationship with a liar and basically burn a lot of bridges along the way, or make the right and tough decision to move past the sunk cost fallacy and end it. But other than that, there's not much more you can do until she's over the anger end, ready to think logically. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Miserable Fondant 82 says, I would be willing to bet that the issue of whether he'd had sex with you specifically was brought up early on and it bothered her, so he decided to lie about it because that would have seemed easier to him than dealing with the whole issue. You are not responsible for facilitating his lies and you are not the a-hole for being honest with her, but I doubt their relationship survives. Kuet says, so they have been dating for 3 years, but never had sex while he became sexually active at 16, but he tells her he was and still is a virgin. He isn't lying only about you. Perhaps he even has someone on the side or sees hookers. Not the a-hole. Don't lie. I hope you will be nice enough to be there for your sister when she will see who he really is. Careless League 9494 says, definitely not the a-hole. You did nothing wrong. You were honest, and your ex is a giant a-hole for literally gaslighting you to a member of your own family because he's a lying coward. Your sister is also kind of an a-hole for immediately believing that you're lying. I can't lie. Part of me would want to be petty as F and tell her a detail about him sexually that proves you're telling the truth. Conscious Papaya 856 says, not the a-hole. That guy is a liar. Your sister is going to be mad at you, but keep on being truthful in the nicest way possible. If he can lie about celibacy while having sex with his fiance's sister, he probably had sex with a plethora of other people. Plus, waiting till marriage is a huge commitment, making his lie way worse because your sister was so committed. I feel so bad for your sister. Just give her space and be apologetic. I hope she ends it with the guy cause he's a major a-hole. Imaratspal says, not the a-hole. Your sister doesn't trust you even though you're blood who've known each other your whole lives. The fact that she trusts the word of this guy over you is her problem and not yours. I'm sure you love your sister, but it's actually very healthy for you to stay away from people who don't respect or value you. If you aren't invited to her wedding unless you lie and say that you're a liar, it's best to stay away from that toxicity. It must be tough to deal with knowing this is what your sister thinks of you, but it's not your fault and you can't control how she is. On a side note, really weird to date someone your sibling was in a relationship with, even if it was for 6 months. And Iskander's Bassface says, not the a-hole, but your sister's world is crumbling around her and her entire sense of judgment, being able to tell if either her fiancé or sister are lying to her, are being called into question. That has to be absolutely horrifying for her. I know this sounds extreme, but I was in a similar no-win scenario. I called the person caught in the middle and invited them to the polygraph I booked. I didn't even have to go through with the polygraph. The other person caved and admitted they were full of crap. But I was 100% prepared to pay $800 to save my relationship with this person. I would consider doing the same. She may hate you at first for showing her that her fiancé is a liar, but she will thank you in the long run. Okay, well, the community agrees OP is not the a-hole, and they've given her some ideas of what to do, particularly be there for your sister, and maybe push for a polygraph. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Okay, so I'm first going to start off with some context to clear up some confusion I was seeing. My sister and I grew up kind of religious with pretty old-fashioned parents. I didn't really buy into any of the religion stuff, but my sister did. Not quite as much as my parents, but definitely more than me. They always told us to wait till marriage, but I clearly did not listen to them, and I guess it never occurred to me that my sister probably did. The reason she never knew about us sleeping together is because I didn't tell her because I thought she might tell my parents and I didn't want to deal with them. The reason I didn't know she was waiting is because she has always been one to keep that kind of thing to herself and is very set on having her own privacy. Also, when I said that we weren't in a serious relationship in high school, it's because I'm a firm believer that no high school relationship is that serious. We also both knew that we weren't planning on staying together forever. We only slept together 2, maybe 3 times, which in my mind isn't very serious, even for teenagers. When my sister asked me if I would be okay with them dating, she specifically asked if I would find it weird or uncomfortable, and I told her as long as she wasn't bothered by the fact that we used to be a couple, I had no reservations. She said that she didn't mind at all, which I mistakenly took as she knew we slept together and didn't care. I'd always known him to be pretty truthful, and I never took it to mean that he actually completely lied to her. So, at the dinner, the 3 of us were sitting at one end of the table and having the argument very quietly, so my friends didn't know what was happening until they got up and left. Otherwise, they would have defended me. After I confessed that we slept together, he said something along the lines of, "That never happened and I don't know why she would lie." I insisted I wasn't lying, but I also wasn't trying to be hurtful. He said some BS about how maybe their talk of marriage made me jealous and stirred up old feelings. That's when she turned on me and they left. Now, the update. My sister came over this morning and we had a conversation and made amends. She told me that he had proposed a few days ago, but she hadn't told anyone because what I said was still weighing on her. She said that last night she went through his phone and found out that he has been cheating on her repeatedly for most of the relationship and that he slept with people before they were together. She confronted him this morning and they had a huge argument when he said that the reason he lied is because he knew it was important to her that they were both virgins and she wouldn't have stayed with him if she found out that he wasn't one. And he really does love her and want to marry her. She thankfully did not believe him and ended it. She came straight over to apologize and hear my side of the story. I asked her why she blindly believed him and left the restaurant and wouldn't answer me. And she said that she was embarrassed because waiting till marriage has always been a big deal to her. And she didn't want to believe that he wasn't as committed to her as she was to him. I, of course, accepted her apology and we both decided to move past it and always trust each other. She also has decided that she's going to take some time to reconsider what values are the most important to her. All is now well. Our ex is totally the a-hole, and please don't say anything rude about my sister. I love her a ton, and she just had a weak moment. Well, it's good to know that your sister found out the truth and was able to get away from that jackass. And now it's time to move forward. So thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Paint de Lumiere. Am I the a-hole for not helping my sister claim her casino winnings? My sister and brother-in-law like to go to the casino. They also like to drag anyone they can into their messes, so I don't F with them. She won a large amount of money at the slots, and for some reason that I don't want to know, she told them she was me. The casino's payout policy for the amount she won is for it to occur during business hours. She's known I won't go anywhere with her, so she couldn't lure me to the casino. She came clean and said she'd give me a few thousand for helping. She always thinks enough money will motivate anyone. I told her no and hung up the phone. I don't want to be a part of any of that. Now she's got the rest of my family up my butt because money. Both of our brothers yelled at me for not getting over myself enough to help her out this one time. I'm thinking she offered them some money too, but whatever. Her messed up name is not my problem. She's been hatching plans all her life and I got dragged into them by default. Our father favored her because she's the baby and made me responsible for her because that's your sister. Her trouble is your trouble. I walked away when I became an adult. Even if I did get along with her, I don't go to casinos. And the thought of shenanigans with them, no ma'am Pam. Does me being a goody two-shoes make me an a-hole? Well, P, I'm kind of getting from your post that your sister is a grifter and you know her better than we all do. So if you don't want to go near her, I'd say that's the right choice. And even if you would ask yourself the question, why would she give your name? The answer is definitely not something that's going to be transparent. What I do know is that you're doing right by yourself to not get mixed up in anything that has your sister's signature on it. So no, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole. I think being a goody two-shoes, as you say, is the right thing to do in this case. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Junkmail0604 says, you need to call the casino and tell them someone used your name and it wasn't you. Casinos have a ton of surveillance and should be able to pull up the person and see it wasn't you. Up to you if you want to tell them who it was, but I don't think you have a choice. But since your name is on these winnings, you are in this, like it or not, and there's no telling what sis will do next to get the money. Extricate yourself now. Jersey Girl 2468 says, not the a-hole. She'll give you a few thousand and then your tax bill is 20,000 or something like that because she's totally trying to dodge paying taxes on it. Not your fault she lied to them. I would think she'd have had to provide ID at the time of winning, so she's probably not even telling you the truth. Middle Cupcake 7308 says, not the a-hole. The casino would definitely check things and find out you were not in the video winning unless you are identical twins. They review all big payouts. You don't want to be caught in a fraud charge. This is a huge legal mess. Stay away. Now that she lied, she can't get any money. She should have claimed the money and just used it to pay back whomever she legally owes money to. She isn't claiming because she either owes money, fines, or is getting state or federal benefits, both of which is also fraud. JB Thunder says, either she's putting you on the hook for taxes or something like what happened to an acquaintance of my youth. He won a bad beat jackpot playing poker for 50,000 plus. All of a sudden, he left town and no one saw him again. See, what happened was every single person he'd borrowed money from wanted paid back until he was found out since the casino publicly posted it. And when this deadbeat started paying money back and then ran out and still owed money to some people, he had some broken bones and left the state. And that didn't stop some of these people. Some went after him legally since he had cash and they wanted paid back too. Not the a-hole either way, and watch yourself. Some of those type of people will come looking for you if that's the case. And Dusty Relic says, not the a-hole. The casino has her own video winning and will know that you didn't win the prize. They may very well charge you with a crime if you try to collect the money. And this is not speculation. A friend of mine had his name used as the prize winner just exactly like your sister used yours. And when he attempted to collect the money, he ended up getting charged with a crime and getting banned from the casino. The charge was BS. What he did isn't considered a crime in my state, but it is in some states because it can be a way of avoiding taxes and in some states child support. But he still ended up having to do community service because he didn't want the expense of going to trial and didn't have a lawyer. The community agrees not the a-hole and that what the sister's doing is kinda dodgy and maybe related to skipping on taxes. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. The responses that said her giving them my name involves me in this got to me. I called the police. The detective I spoke to said no fraud has been committed yet because the money has not been claimed and it's not a crime to give a false name to a casino. But he also said to not relax because there's nothing stopping my sister from getting a fake ID made and claiming the money, especially since I refused to help. She also mentioned the fraudulent tax liability in case the casino didn't spot the fake ID. She said it was better to reach out to the casino now. So I did. I explained the situation and I made it clear my name was given fraudulently. Turns out she was banned from the casino over a separate incident. When she hit the jackpot, they were prepared to pay out then, once they verified her ID. She told them she didn't bring it with her and ID'd herself as me. The manager told me the case was flagged anyway. They're automatically suspicious of winners who claim they forgot their ID. I'm not sure if she's ever made a flat-out fake ID of me before, but when my probationary driver's license expired, she did use it to get into clubs while I was away at college. We looked a lot more alike back then, just forever scheming. I'm glad I didn't chance it. Thank you to everyone who responded. Well done, OP, you made the right choice. You just blew the lid out of this whole thing and now you can't get in trouble for anything and your sister's just gonna have to figure it out. So here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user Claude Platypus. She ended up begging me to stop hacking her website. This is my freelance revenge story that happened about 8 years ago and it was one of the first times I was ghosted without pay. I created a landing page for her elven symbol jewelry store, a bunch of esoteric BS, but I was young and tried to break into copywriting, so I took any deal I could. We agreed on a pure performance deal, so I got nothing up front, but we settled on a 5% performance fee. Her WordPress store was really small and I was aiming to get 300 to 800 out of it, but honestly, at some level, I would have been happy to just do it for practice in my portfolio. Long story short, I wrote the landing page and built it inside her WordPress site. She started running some Facebook ads on it and I was shocked to see that it was actually converting. $120 on day 1, $200 on day 2, $150 on day 3, $360 on day 4, etc. By the end of the month, that landing page brought in $6,000 in revenue. I honestly thought I struck gold. $300 in royalties in the first month. I was going to make bank from 2 days of work. Well, predictably, she disappeared the moment I mentioned first invoice. 3 months go by, nothing. No replies to emails, calls go unanswered. She's still running ads. I can see the sales coming in because I still have access to the website. Then, out of nowhere, I get a panicked message. My site is down. Are you doing this? Please stop. Now, I had nothing to do with her store going down, probably just her cheap hosting. But after being ghosted for months while she made thousands off my work, I knew this could be my one and only shot at getting paid. So I decided to play along. However, I had to be careful. I couldn't just admit in writing that I'm the hacker and threaten her to pay up. What if she went to the police and showed them the message? No, I knew I had to make her think I was, but not admit to anything at the same time. So I replied, sorry, but I'm not going to talk to you until you pay me what you owe me. This turned out to be the perfect level of vague. I never said I hacked her site. I never threatened to keep it down. I just looked suspicious as F. She immediately called me and asked me what I want. I told her I still have access to her website and Google Analytics. I can see what she made off of the landing page and that I want what we agreed on. 5% of sales from that landing page. It ended up being just shy of $1,500. She said she'll take care of it. We got off the call, I sent her the final invoice, and she wired the money immediately. She then messaged me with a payment confirmation from her bank and asked me to enable their website. It worked! I was shaking when I typed back this reply. I had nothing to do with your website crashing. You should ask your hosting provider. I never heard from her again. Fantastically done, OP. You played that really well. Thanks so much for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.